What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you are new to the channel, just know I make daily Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video I'm going to talk about should the Hornets bring back Kemba Walker, and if not, who else should they bring in, because we do need a backup point guard. I know people say Terry Rozier can play backup point guard, but in reality of it, the way this team is constructed, you need someone to play backup point guard. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So Kemba Walker, obviously a Charlotte Hornet great. You know, some people's favorite Charlotte Hornet ever. You know, it depends on who you talk to. But Kemba Walker has always been. Now, this is one thing I'll say. I feel like he gets a lot more criticism than he should. He was like some people say, like he's just not an efficient shooter. This, that, and the other. He was never really an efficient shooter. I think his best season shooting from the field was like 44%. Granted, he was doing a lot of carrying, so a lot of people thought that Kemba Walker was going to all of a sudden be this guy who can facilitate, who can come off ball and score when he went to the Boston Celtics, and that just wasn't going to happen. I'm sorry, but if you watch Kemba Walker, you know he's a ball dominant guard. There's nothing wrong with that. We've seen people be successful being a ball dominant guard, and we've seen people suffer being a ball dominant guard. And Kemba Walker currently in this stage in his career is one of the people who suffer. So I know people will look at the game he had against the New York Knicks where he dropped like 44, but if you go back and look at those possessions, some of those possessions were not the best. A lot of his shots were just pull-up jump shots, which if you're talking about, that's where it goes into what this team is. So if you're trying to, if you're trying to make money while you know the team's not going to be that good, get Kemba Walker. People are going to pack out the stadium, the arena rather, to watch Kemba Walker play. If you want to win, if you want maybe like a burst, if you're trying to decide between Isaiah Thomas and Kemba Walker, get Kemba Walker. You know, if that makes any sense. Kemba Walker is a very great person, great locker room guy, similar to Isaiah Thomas. However, I wouldn't just want both. You got three guards at that point who don't play defense that well. While I think LaMelo is getting better on defense, he's still not a liability. He's not a liability anymore. He's just young. I mean, really, I've been watching a lot more, just watching older games, and he's really just young. That's what it comes down to. It's not whether he's good or bad. It's just young. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't want three guards that way if you're trying to sneak into a spot. Now, if you're trying to force yourself into the playoffs, you cannot get Kemba Walker. You need to get someone like Eric Bledsoe, who I know is not as flashy, but he is a winner. He plays winning basketball, and that's what you need on this team, especially from a backup guard position when you have the twos out there. Now, that might sound crazy to some people. Some people be like, oh, well, Kemba Walker, this, that, and the other. He can drop 44. And because, like I mentioned that earlier, he did drop 44 against the Wizards while he was with the Knicks. And there was just a bunch of tough shots in that game, but he was hitting them. And that's the thing with Kemba Walker, is that you have to rely on him hitting those shots for it to be worth it. For example, when Kemba Walker was on the Hornets, there was really nobody else to score. You had an Al Jefferson pick and roll, but Al Jefferson was old by that point. Other than that, you really didn't have anyone else that could score. So Kemba Walker took all the shots. You know what I mean? And if you look back at the stats, it wasn't the best. Like, okay, I'll just show you. All right, so here I'm going to show you Kemba Walker's stats when he was with Charlotte. So if you look at Kemba Walker's stats while he was with Charlotte, the highest he ever made from the field was a 44%. And we can check on that team. And that team was 36-46 with the 16th best offense technically. No, 14th best offense technically, and the 14th best defense. So middle of the road team, which standard for Charlotte Hornets. But anyway, if you go back to actually just looking at his stats overall, you see that he was never really that efficient. And so that's why I said he gets too much slack for being inefficient when he never was really that efficient. He's a really good three-point shooter. I say really good, but he's a better than average three-point shooter, but a lot of that comes from the bad shots he takes. So, for example, I'm going to show you some bad shots Kemba Walker takes, but he hits, so it works out. All right, so hopefully the NBA won't get mad at me, and if it does, we'll figure it out. But anyway, okay, so look at this. As you see, it's an 83-75 game. The New York Knicks are down. This is from his 44-point game. Basically, if you watch this clip, you see that he dribble, goes to the right, takes another step. Look, is that Neto? Raul Neto? Not Raul Neto is right on him, and I'm not 100% sure if that's Raul Neto. But anyway, the point is that, like I said, that was a bad shot, and those are the type of shots Kemba Walker takes. Now, if you're okay with that, then fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to win, I don't necessarily think that's just the best idea to bring that, because we have players who do that anyway. You know what I mean? We have Terry who does that. We have Oubre who takes bad shots at times. We have Melo who takes bad shots at times. May not be the same bad shots, but we have players who take bad shots. We need some players who just get it as it comes to them and is able to slow down the game. That is something that, as much as I get on Gordon Hayward for this channel, that is something that I really admire about his game and about him being a veteran in his game in general. Gordon Hayward is someone that can really slow down the game if it's getting out of hand. I'm not saying Kemba Walker isn't capable, but Kemba Walker will just also take bad shots if a team gets down. Gordon Hayward doesn't do that. Now, granted, we're hoping Gordon Hayward plays, but if he doesn't, that's where you get a guy like Eric Bledsoe. Even IT was really good at slowing things down when things needed to be slowed down, or just getting the team in the mode they need to be in, whether that's, all right, let's speed it up or let's slow it down. IT was really good at that. Kemba Walker, I'm not saying he's not good at that, but the way his game goes, he's not calculated with his shots. IT is very tiny. Like, he's 5'9". So therefore, he has to be really calculated with his shots. Now, granted, nothing's wrong with a heat check every now and then, but IT's just not doing what Kemba Walker just did in the clip I showed you all the time. Those are most of Kemba Walker's shots. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying he shouldn't come to Charlotte. But all I'm saying is that it's just going to be a lot more difficult to play winning basketball if you have Kemba Walker doing it. Now, granted, this is a much more talented team than he had when he was with Charlotte the first time. So maybe, because we know what his relationship with Steve Clifford, so maybe he can adjust that and change that. We'll see. You know, Steve Clifford might get to him. And I'm not saying Kemba Walker's doing this to be like, just he's hard-headed or anything. That's just his game. He's been playing that way. He played that way in college, and it's been successful all the way. However, with this specific team and what they're trying to accomplish with the roster moves or lack thereof that is made thus far, I don't think we can afford to have Kemba Walker on the team. It's not that I don't think he should be on the team. It's just I don't think we can afford to. But let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section below. I really like Kemba Walker. I was sad to see him go. But, you know, it ended up for the better, I guess. I don't think this team would be where it's at now with Kemba Walker. I feel like they took too long to give Kemba what he needed, and I'm afraid they might do the same thing with LaMelo, but we'll see. I mean, this team is better. That's the thing with this team, is that this team is better than the last team, but it's still not enough. The NBA got better as well, so it's like they're trying to make up for what they didn't give Kemba, but it's still not enough because the NBA as a whole got better, and you're not necessarily following that NBA trend. You're kind of basing it off y'all were better than before, but it is what it is. Just let me know what you think about the Kemba Walker signing below. I love Kemba. I just don't think it really is going to, you know, move the needle as far as the team getting better, and that's what we want to see. I personally think if Miles is unable to play, the team should look to sell and then get younger and then go from there. A lot of people don't agree with me on that, and that's fine, but I think just throwing in Kemba Walker is not going to do any better either. And that's the reason I want a team to restart if Miles is unable to play, is because I'd rather that than them trying to stitch together pieces and force feed us a team that's not good enough, like they're kind of trying to do with this team. Granted, this team hasn't been fully healthy in 2 years, but they knew that coming in. You know what I mean? They knew signing Gordon Hayward, you run that risk. Like when Gordon Hayward, his healthiest season in Boston, that was because he didn't play that much. I'm not saying he had like 10 minutes, but he was coming off, I think he was coming off the bench, and then they would rest him and all kinds of things. So they didn't take that same approach. They wanted him a starter, heavy minute starter, and then look what happened. So it is what it is. I just don't trust the team. It's not about whether I think it's the right thing. It's just more about I don't trust the front office to do what they need to do. So I'd rather them just restart, but because I think Mitch Kupchak is a really good drafter. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm trying different angles with this new setup. I'm probably gonna like move my books and stuff and put Hornet stuff there and Hornet stuff here and we're gonna figure it out. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.